Hello, lovelies. It's G here from Golden Thread Tarot, and I'm here to bring you another channeled message. I hope that this message is finding you blessed and full of abundance, as always, my sweets, okay? So, let's see what message. I have the Lantern Oracle here, and so let's see what the overall energy is. Searching. Some of you are searching for something, or you're waiting for something. Perhaps for a message or for a sign. Some of you are waiting to feel safe. Or you're waiting for like a message or a sign or something that it's safe to do something, or it's safe to go on a journey or to start something. The first step is taken within our stillness. Some of you are in a moment of contemplation, but Spirit wants you to step into, definitely some of you are definitely waiting to receive something or waiting to be given something. And Spirit says some of you are in a moment of waiting, but you are not in a moment of listening, of truly listening, of truly being silent and going within and allowing. And I can already feel some of you guys like frustration in me saying that, because you're like, what else am I supposed to do? I'm waiting. But your mind is still so loud and it's so going. It's like, well, what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And what about that? And maybe this and maybe that. And maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. I should do this. Should I do that? Should I do this? Should I do that? And it's like going to someone and asking them for advice, but not, it's like, hey, can I ask your advice about something? And the person's like, sure. What's the situation? Well, it's like this and it's like that. And I don't think, should I do this or should I do that? But maybe, what if this happens? And maybe, what if that happens? And what about this? And I was thinking about this. And the other day I was sitting down and I was doing it. And it's like, you're talking so much that you're not allowing the person that you came to get the advice to even give you the advice. That's kind of the energy that they're giving me. They're saying like, hey, like the advice that we give you is going to, because you're asking for something very deep within yourself. You're asking for something very like what's my purpose? What's my direction? Something that is, like, or who am I? It's like this really, really deep. You're asking for a key piece, to ask for a key piece of knowledge to your soul, to your purpose, to something like that. Even if you don't realize that's the question that you're asking. And so for some of you, Spirit is saying first off, the first thing that you need to know is that's really actually the question that you're asking. Because it might seem like you're asking like, is this a job for me? Is this the person for me? Should I do this? But the real question that you're honestly asking that you might not be realizing is, who am I and what am I doing here? Why am I here? What's my purpose for being here in this, in this lifetime, in this life, in this consciousness? Who do I want to be? Who should I be? Yeah, okay. Some of you are asking God, who should I be? And God said, who are you? And it might seem very frustrating to have someone answer a question with a question, but Spirit is saying, that's the point. I want you to go on a journey. Not everything that you ask is going to have a direct question. And Spirit is saying that the journey, if you will truly accept this asking, answering a question with a question, It is more purposeful. There is more purpose for you to find going down the path of answering that question for yourself than there is for God to just tell you, yeah, go do this. Yeah, your soulmate, their name is this, they live at this. Go knock on the door and have a conversation with them. You know, oh, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to work for this company and you're going to do it, and it's there at this location. There is so much more power in the discovering of the truth. It's much more about the journey. It's much more about the unfolding and the infinite wisdom that Spirit, that Source has in sending you out there on their journey and saying, figure it out, babes. I will help you along the way. I promise. I promise I will be there. I promise I will help you. I am not promising that it will look beautiful all the time. I am not promising that you won't get hurt. I am not promising that you won't fall down. However, get up, keep going, keep discovering, because there are parts of yourself and parts of other people and parts of the world that will unfold before you when you surrender to the discovery, when you surrender to the power in the journey, in the searching. That some of you are wondering, that you're wondering without purpose, that you're listless and you're wondering without purpose. And Spirit is saying, you have a purpose, but have you stopped to ask yourself what you really want? You have spent so much of your life waiting for somebody else to tell you what you're supposed to do, to tell you, well, if you just do this and you just do this and you just do this. There's not a handbook to it, babes. And that's what Spirit is saying. Spirit is saying there's not a handbook to this. There's infinite possibilities out there. And I can't tell you if you walk down this certain one path, you got to discover it for yourself. Because this part of your journey is going to unlock more options. And if you go down this path, that's going to unlock these options. If you go down that path, it's going to unlock these options. This is a first player mode. Choose your own quest. Because the fun is in the discovering. Your passion is in realizing that that is the purpose. The discovering is the purpose. You know, the getting up and putting your shoes on and going out there and finding out is the purpose. There's nothing more beautiful than a soul that has passion for self-discovery. And so Spirit is asking you to go down that path and truly ask yourself. Because you might believe that you have practice checking in with yourself, checking in with your body, checking in with your emotions, checking in with how you feel. What do you want? What truly resonates within you? Because some of you are being asked to face parts of your shadow, or being asked to release this kind of need for it to come from outside of yourself in. Because your true connection with God is not out there, it's in here. It's connecting to self, connecting to divine purpose from within. That divine purpose comes from going on this journey within yourself and bringing that true self out into the world. There isn't anything out there that's going to give you that connection. You discover that connection within. And then when you discover that connection within, that connection leads you forward to interacting with things in your exterior world that is going to either turn you away from that or lead you even further into that connection. That came out so quick. Wow. Whew. Ooh. Okay. So I'm going to start here. This is reminding me of the Wheel of Fortune. Number 14, wishful expectations. Acknowledge the smoke and mirrors in your life for what they are. Oh my gosh. Some of you feel like you're just trapped on this wheel, unable, right? Look how she's like chained to this wheel. You feel chained. You have felt chained to cycles. You felt chained to other people's whims. You might be even discovering within yourself this feeling of being chained to what you think God wants you to do, to what you think will get you into heaven, or what you think, it's like, well, I want to do this because I have been taught that if I do this, or if I believe this, or if I act this way, God will see me as a good person. Other people will see me as a good person. But you've really felt chained to these expectations. And that's why God is saying your connection with the divine should feel freeing. It should feel liberating. It should lead you towards your self-sovereignty. God didn't just give us free will just to see if we would sin and mess up so that spirit could go, ha ha, caught you. I caught you messing up. I knew it. You're a terrible person. Burn. But there's a lot of thought process and belief process in our consciousness that tells us, that God's watching us, just waiting for us to slip up, just waiting for us to mess up so that they can punish us and cast us down into the eternal fire. And so for some of you, you could really be connecting with a truth, with a truth about God, with your truth about faith, with your truth about what it means to live in this universe with this divine power, with a divine, otherworldly being, like what it actually really means, because a lot of you have felt chained down to this wheel. But the truth of it is that God is saying that you actually have the key. You actually have the power. Number 10, right? You're at the end of this process, at the end of this cycle of being chained up, of feeling like you're stuck here and you don't have a way to get off. You don't have a way to have a level of control. And Spirit is saying that although what you have been taught, what is actually going to be freeing you is letting go of this control, of feeling like you need to control. Because God is not trying to control you. Spirit, source energy is not trying to control you. It's trying to liberate you. It's trying to free you. I just heard that. Free your mind and the rest will follow. And then I heard the rest of that line is, be color blind, don't be so shallow. But what I'm seeing is like, and then instead of like an array of colors, Spirit showed me black and white. Having this very black and white. This is evil. This is good. This is bad. This is, this is sin. This is, and it's like, it's like this very black and white. Like I can only walk down a very narrow path. I can only be inside this little box. And that's what defines me as, that's the difference between being saved and being judged. And a lot of you that are going to resonate with this are working through that conscious belief system within you, that's really tied into our collective consciousness here on the 3D that's this very kind of, you know, this kind of vengeful God kind of energy, like kind of very like, it's basically like you questioning this kind of Old Testament kind of vision of God where it's like, you know, if I don't act like this and I don't do this and I don't say this and I, you know, and I don't do that. And obviously whatever, you know, and I'm not doing this to say that any one type of faith or belief system is necessarily like as opposed to a religion and what that religion entails with it. That has to resonate within you. But if your faith system or what you are believing in is making you feel chained down, I do believe that your soul is asking you to question at least your perspective on your beliefs. Like what perspective your beliefs give you. If your beliefs give you this very chained down, I can't be free, I can't be myself, I'm in total fear of being judged, I'm always having to ask outside of myself, are you sure it's okay? Are you sure it's okay for me to be me? Then it's time to question this source of this distorted desire within you. And it's making me feel more like you distorting your own desires or viewing your desire, this desire to be free, from this place of, well, that must be sin. That must be the devil talking to me. That must, you know, my want to be free, my want to get off this wheel, my want to not feel chained, to not feel claustrophobic, to not feel weighed down makes me a bad person. There is some type of, and I don't know in what particular flavor of that, what particular flavor of shame that kind of belief system is showing up in your mind, but that's when it really comes up. And look, here you are with your back turned and saying, if I go on one side, it's light. If I go on one side, it's, you know, it's dark. But this is actually turning you away from your light. This is turning you away from that knowing within you that light, you know, and look, that light is lighting. You see that right there? It's a pathway. And it actually, this kind of belief system actually has you turning away from that path. Conscious desire rarely satisfies the unconscious need driving it. Yeah, and again, look how, you know, she just looks like she's wandering and lost and feeling without hope, feeling without direction, having this lack of connection within, I'm just saying herself because of the person on here. It's like this lack of connection within the self. And there also is something here about how I'm noticing how you might not be able to see it on here because I'm not sure if my camera can pick it up, but they're like over here on the dark side, there's like this castle in the background. And then over here where the light is starting to shine through and where the path is leading is into this kind of like forest area back here. And there's something here about that your path might lead you to unexpected places or places that your belief system has traditionally told you or has made you believe is unsafe. Because I'm thinking most humans, if they thought, okay, what's the safer option? This castle over here or going on, you know, down a path into the woods? Most people are going to say, probably going to the castle. But there's something here that's subverting, is that the right word? Subverting these, it's kind of like turning these expectations on head. What your soul is telling you to do is kind of turning what your ego or what your logical brain might be telling you is safe, or what your your belief system that has been built on this kind of social consciousness, it's flipping that on its head. And you're just like, are you sure that's the path? Because I've been told my whole life that going down that believing that leads you to a path of darkness. And again, I'm hearing that free your mind. Yeah. And of course, this is number 15. And so Spirit, it's 11:11 down on the real-time clock. Spirit is saying that this is some type of wish fulfillment, that there is something here for you. That there is this come in out of the cold. But what, yeah. And now they're showing me the Five of Pentacles. Again, but in the Five of Pentacles, there's that imagery of, like, the traditional Five of Pentacles has like the woman and the child, walking through the snow or walking, out in the cold with like a church or like some kind of warm place. But in my mind's eye, they're kind of animating that card and they're showing me almost like you being turned away from that. And you like having to continue to walk by because it's like that place is actually not safe, or we're not accepted there. So there could be this type of persecution wound inside of you that makes you feel like what traditionally might be seen as safe is not safe for you. It's almost, yeah, like, because it's almost like there's an enemy here in this castle. And it's like, is it okay for me to be non-traditional? Is it okay for me to turn away from that? And there's this kind of this feeling of, I'm not accepted here, or I'm not thought about here, or I'm not important here. Spirit has gotten me to look at number 19, accountability. Responsibility is a gift of love to yourself and to others. And look at this woman here. And she's carrying like this basket full of rocks on her back. And she's standing here at this kind of like fork in the road kind of imagery where it's like, make a decision on your path. But there's something here about this basket on her back that's definitely giving me kind of like the Ten of Wands kind of vibe. And it's almost like this feeling of like, I've been turned away. I've been abandoned. I've been pushed out of sanctuary. I've been denied sanctuary. And I've had to go on my own for so long, or I've not been able to trust what people said you should be able to trust. Perhaps, you weren't able to trust authority figures. Perhaps you weren't able to trust, family members. Perhaps you weren't able, other people might, I'm just saying this, other people might look at church and might see a sanctuary where they feel open arms and they feel accepted. And perhaps you don't feel that way. You've never felt that way. Because whether it be because of just situations that you don't know, maybe you're non-traditional, you're not like a specific religion, or you're not. So you feel like on the outskirts, you feel pushed away, you feel unaccepted, you feel denied. And I definitely think this is a message from within your shadow, because look at how dark all of these cards are. It's like a woman in shadow in all of these cards. The last card that we have here is number 18, Radical Honesty. To believe in the facade is to suffocate in the armor of alienation, self-defeat, and self-denial. And there's that alienation feeling. And it's kind of almost this energy of rebellion. And it's almost like, okay, well, fine. If I'm not accepted, I'll be the weird one. I'll go against you. I'll be the the subversive one. I almost said submersive one. Subversive one. I will be, I'll be that different person who doesn't need anybody. I'm a lone wolf. I don't need anybody to stand beside me. But the truth of the matter is that your soul is calling out for that connection. It's calling out for you to forgive. It's calling out for you to gain trust. It's calling out for you to say, okay, maybe you can't trust this religion, or maybe you can't trust this community, or maybe you can't trust the people that, your family unit, or the people that you have around you. Go out there and find a place that you feel like you don't have to wear armor to be around. To feel safe. And again, this armor that you wear could be like this belief system that's keeping you trapped in a box, making you feel like you're always being persecuted or you're always the victim. Again, I'm hearing that free your mind. It's like a box, it's a trap, it kind of does feel like this helmet, but see how she's pulling off this helmet, and she's pulling off this helmet and showing that she has scars. She has these scars on her face, and that's probably why she has this armor on to begin with. Because at some point she didn't have it on, and she received these scars, she received these wounds, she received this hurt. And she had to learn how to put all of this armor on. But this armor is a facade. This armor is an illusion. Because the truth is, Spirit is saying is that you are suffocating in this armor. And at one point, this armor might have been necessary. Because maybe you weren't able to break out of that situation. Maybe you weren't able to leave your family. Maybe you weren't able to leave that relationship. Maybe you weren't able to leave that community. And Spirit is saying now, your change in your belief system is opening up your mind to new opportunities and to new and to new doorways, to new pathways. And there's something here about keeping this armor on that's denying your true self. Because your true self doesn't want to feel like they have to wear armor, doesn't want to feel like they have to be, that lone wolf because they're scared of not trusting people. Maybe even some of you in the past have shut out God, shut out your faith, shut out that, and said that you were stronger and that you were better without it, because maybe the exposure that you had to God or to faith was very traumatic. And here you are on a journey that has on a healing journey that has led you back to discovering God or to discovering faith. And it could be opening up your mind to the fact that having a connection there can actually equal liberation. It can actually equal being in your divine, being in divine truth can mean being sovereign. It can mean being powerful. It can mean being liberated. And again, that's expanding your mind, expanding your thought process, expanding what your view on the world really was. Because suddenly now, when you're taking, the kind of double-edged sword to having the armor on is, are you safer? Yes, but it also limits your perspective. That helmet limits your perspective, but when you take it off, yes, it does make you more vulnerable, but it gives you a wider perception. It gives you a wider perspective, and it unlocks a whole world you didn't even know was possible, a whole world that you didn't even know existed out there. And you're realizing that the key to this is actually accepting that vulnerability, accepting that softness, accepting the fact that I'm not at war. I don't need to walk around with this armor. I'm just sitting at my house. I'm walking around through the market, and listen to me. I do understand that there are some places, that you could be in physical danger. But that's not, I'm talking about your mentality right now. Because there is something about that kept you feeling chained. And you are expanding outside of that perspective. You are expanding outside of that understanding of yourself, of that limiting understanding of yourself and of what the world really is. Assistance with access. It is necessary to ask for and accept help in order to receive it. Ooh, come on now. And for some of you, you're understanding that, okay, this part of the journey is going to be about me accepting help, accepting assistance, accepting that I need to not be afraid to be my true, genuine self. That this armor that I'm wearing, that this mask that I'm wearing is suffocating me. And even though I might feel more vulnerable because when I take that mask off, I'm exposing my true self and my true belief system and who I truly am. But that the liberation that I will feel, the freedom I will feel, the self-expansion that I will feel on the other side of that is worth the risk of the vulnerability, because without taking a risk, there is no reward. There is no expansion. There is no discovering my journey. And a part of the journey that you are realizing now, that your shadow wants to, that you're getting a message about your shadow energy within you right now, is that for a long time, they're showing me like a child that has a mask on, and they're showing me like an adult that has a mask, and they're holding that mask on that child's face and telling them, this is the way you need to be. Wear this mask. Don't ever take it off. Don't ever take it off. And then over time, as you're growing older, you are the one sitting there holding that mask on your face. But a lot of you still feel mentally like this. You are still that little child with the adult telling you, you have to keep this mask on your face. When the truth is that person does not have that control over you anymore. Is that the person, because a lot of you are looking for like a kind of enemy outside of yourself to defeat, and Spirit is saying that what you need to overcome now is your belief system, that you need to hold they're not holding your mask on your face anymore. You are. And once you realize that, you realize that you have the power to take it off. You have the power to change your perspective. You have the power to liberate yourself. No one's telling you have to keep that mask on anymore. And I know that that's easier said than done. And I know too that there are plenty of things in the world that make you feel like in your community but Spirit is telling you exactly. Be aware of what's telling you to put your mask back on and get away from it. You have that sovereignty over yourself now. to say, no, I don't want to wear this mask. But you also have the power to protect yourself and to, instead of seeing putting the mask back on is what's going to protect you, understand that that what is truly going to protect you is getting away from those things, those people and those situations that make you feel like your mask is what you need. This part of the journey is about self-mastery. Because I do feel like for a lot of you, there are mentors, there are soulmates out there that want to come into your life, but you have to be ready and you have to be in a place of allowing. Exactly. Exactly. Spirit saying there's a lot of energy that wants to come towards you, and it's not spirit that's keeping it away. And it's not other people that are denying that to you. It's an energy within yourself, a consciousness within yourself that has told you for so long that, you know, pushing this away is what keeps you safe. And you're balancing that energy within yourself now. You're finding that you're finding out how to balance that. You are exactly. Come on now. You are receiving your justice, but you have to learn how to balance out those kind of shadow messages or that control that your shadow or that your ego has to tell you, put that mask back on. You're only safe when you have that mask on. And spirit is trying to make you to understand, like, that's not true. Exactly. When you take that mask off, that's the only way that you're really going to find your true happiness and your true wish fulfillment and your true, you know, your true 10 of Cups is by taking the risk. You know, you only go through this if you take a risk. The Fool is the beginning of the journey. You have to take that risk. You have to say, I'm willing to walk down this path. Nobody can make you do that. You have to. Spirit cannot make you do that. You have to choose it for yourself. They can show you what's at the end. They can, promise you that that this journey of self-discovery will be. It'll be a lot of different things. But you have to take the weight of this. Because there's like this level of resistant energy to this discovery. Maybe for some of you, you are healing through some type of persecution wound. Again, they're reminding me of that, perhaps in the past, walking a path, walking towards God did not feel like safety. Maybe perhaps in the past it hasn't been. Maybe you've gone towards that in the past and you've ended up being hurt by other people along the way. Or maybe even people who claim to be religious people or who claim to be representations of God. And they ended up being false. And that's the scary thing about it is that people can lie. People can wear masks. You're not the only one wearing a mask. Other people can wear a mask. But when you take your mask off, it is so much easier to see the other people that are wearing a mask. Because when you've taken that journey to take your mask off, it's very obvious who is also walking around mask off and who is walking around with that facade. Mm-hmm. Ooh, look at that. It's the Devil, the Wheel, and the Five of Pentacles. And the Four of Cups is right there too. So there is this kind of fear of rejection. This fear of allowing this cycle to end. This fear of allowing and having trust and having faith. And there is this realignment with true self. Because I mean, they're just showing me like an image, and then it's all like smeared away. Like there's this distortion in your perception of this situation, where when you look at opportunity, or you look at this opportunity, you know, this wheel of fortune coming out, and you see this. You see rejection, you see pain, you see being misunderstood, not being listened to, being silenced. And I do believe that a lot of you are being asked to repair that connection with your hope, with your faith, with your belief system. And I don't know what you went through that took that faith away. But Spirit is saying that your soul is asking you to go on a journey of discovering that again. Here we are back where we began. And it might feel like that. There could have been a time in your journey when some kind of tower moment happened, or some kind of devil energy rose up on your path, you know, and it might have given you this very like, oh my gosh, like God told me to go down this path, and then it led me straight to this devil energy, or to this tower moment, or to this traumatic of it, like, whoa. And so it kind of took away. It's like, well, I don't know if I can trust you. And again, it's bringing me back to that message in the beginning where I was saying God never promised you that believing and having faith was going to eliminate all adversity from your path. It never told you that there wouldn't be times that you were pushed down into the dirt, or you were pushed down into, you know, that your faith will come into question, or that it won't meet resistance. It will. But your resolve and your understanding and your sovereignty within yourself needs to rise up stronger when you meet that resistance. And I think that's the journey and the path that you're on now is teaching you that. Is teaching you to have. Come on now. Come on now. This journey, this path that you're going on, you're receiving a type of kind of like unshakable faith, or like understanding, or this kind of energy of no matter what happens, I'm going to be safe. I'm going to be protected. I'm going to go down my journey. I'm going to trust myself. God is leading you down a path back to itself. Wow. Yeah. Because there has definitely been, there's been hurt, there's been pain, there's been a 3 of Swords down this journey for you. And God is showing you how to come back to seeing this journey as a beautiful place. You know, because maybe you did. Maybe you started going down this journey. You was like, oh my God, it's safe for me to take off this armor. And then somebody, as soon as you took that helmet off, somebody came along and smacked you right across the face. And you were like, oh, wow. Okay, so you set me up. Wow, okay. That's kind of the energy that I'm getting here. You maybe even could have faced some type of betrayal, or you could have faced something that you perceived as a betrayal. Or maybe you were. Maybe you were betrayed. Yeah. But Spirit is saying, go down this journey anyway. Take this opportunity anyway, because you're being given this seed. Right? You're being given this. Yeah. I'm hearing Spirit say, plant this promise inside of you and allow it to grow into your passion, into a deeper level of understanding. You're being asked to step up and go on the next phase of this journey. Yeah, I'm hearing, don't just talk about it, be about it. It's that phase of the journey to really journey, to go, to step forward, to really kind of, to kind of put your money where your mouth is, to kind of put, it's this kind of feeling of, okay, you say you have this belief system, walk forward in faith with it, and understand that this journey is not going to look perfect, because you're not going to, you are always going to be protected, but you might not always feel safe. You might not there are going to be times when you're going to have to put yourselves in situations that you're uncomfortable with, that you're going to have to put yourself in situations that you feel vulnerable. But there's power and strength in putting yourself in those situations. Because every time you go into that situation, and no matter what happens, you learn a lesson either way. You learn to trust yourself a little bit more. You learn to evolve a little bit more. You learn to be adaptable a little bit more. And no matter what way the situation goes, whether or not you perceive that choice that as a failure or as a success, either way, there's a creator here that I watch that at the end of every single one of his videos, he's always like, and I'm paraphrasing, he always says, I am a being in progress, and if you are always in progress, you can never fail. So that's the kind of spirit that they want you to have, that kind of resolve inside of you to say, like, yeah, I might mess up. I might fail at this. This might, I might walk down a path and then discover, actually, I don't like this path that much. Okay. So turn around, take an exit, get off that path. You don't just say, oh, and just sit down there on the path and say, this is it. Dissatisfaction is the only thing I'm allowed to have. No. Keep going. Keep changing. Keep adapting. Learn from your mistakes. Take accountability for your mistakes, and then grow. Grow from them. Ooh. Oh yeah. Emperor. There is safety, and there is divine protection. And there is this kind of, excuse me, there's this kind of stepping up and this kind of bossing up energy that Spirit is asking you to be in. And this kind of taking control. Because I feel like, but taking controls of the right aspects of your life. Right? Spirit keeps, over the past week or so, Spirit keeps bringing the serenity prayer to my mind about the kind of stage in our journey that we're in right now. And if you don't know, and I'm gonna paraphrase, but it's kind of like, God, give me the courage to change. Wait, no. Let me get it together right now. I'm laughing at myself. Okay. It's basically like, there are things in my life that I can't change. Let me find peace in the things that I can't change. Let me have courage to change the things that I can change, that are within my control, and grant me the wisdom to know the difference between the two. So there are things out there in your life that we can't control. There are things out there that are just going to happen that you're going to have to just deal with, or you're going to have to adapt to. You know, there are some things out there, and I think that you have been pouring a lot of energy in the past into the things that you can't act, and trying to control things that are actually out of your control, which keeps you eternally in this state of pouring your energy into the wrong places in your life. Because for some reason, your belief system makes you feel like these things that aren't within your control is what you need to, it's like, let go. Let go of the need to control those things. Because the whole time that your focus is pouring onto those things that you can't control, there are things that are within your control that you have your back turned to. Having that type of laser focus on, this is what I need to change, this is what I need to change, this is what I need to change. And it's you banging up against a brick wall because there are certain things and it's like, no, this is where you're meant to be right now. No, this is what you're meant to be going through. No, no, you can't make that person do this or do that. But what you can control is whether or not that person is in your life, whether or not you give energy to them, whether or not you give focus or you give time to them. There are aspects of this that are within your control, but you are so busy trying to control the things that you shouldn't be trying to control. And it leaves you in this disempowered state because you're constantly pouring your energy into something that's like, the Spirit's like, stop. This is not going to change right now. This is where you're meant to be in this moment. So step back and say, you know what? God, grant me peace and understanding around this. And for me to see it, nope, this is how it's supposed to be right now. So if I can't change this and I can't control that, because it's leaving you in this constant state of feeling disempowered. It's leaving you in this constant state of just grasping and, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And Spirit is saying, like, you're wasting a lot of your energy, and that's why you're feeling fatigued. That's why you're feeling exhausted. That's why you're feeling blissful. That's why you're feeling purposeless. Because you're just like, I don't get it. Why is there a brick wall right here? And Spirit's like, babes, turn around. Look around you. There are other things to do. There are other pathways. There are other options. But you have to take back control of the things you can control, which is turning your body around and looking elsewhere. Okay, this is where I'm meant to be. This is what I'm meant to be. Okay, so where... and it's really reminding me a lot of the messages that I've been about the power of being in a pregnant pause, of being in kind of like a period in your life where Spirit is saying, stop. And things might not be going forward. There might be certain aspects of your life that seem paused. That seem like, no, this is where it's meant to be for right now, but you're not seeing it that way. You're seeing it as, well, I must not be working hard enough. I must not be giving enough. I must not be doing it the right way. Let me try it this way, and that way, and this way, and that way. And Spirit is saying, no, We want you to learn that sometimes there are some aspects of our life that are not meant to be growing, that are meant to be paused, that are meant to be in a seeking energy. And while we are completely focused on what's not working, there are things that are working or that could be working that we are just leaving to rot, or that we are just leaving on the table. There's opportunities that we're leaving on the table because we're so laser focused on what's meant to be paused right now. Some doors are meant to close. You know, and then there's this kind of reaction that's like, well, I thought God was supposed to be freeing. Well, it is. But there are some pathways, there are some people, there are some things that we're not really meant to do. And on one hand, you're saying, God, you know, put me in pathway, you know, put me in alignment with my highest path, with my highest being. God, protect me, you know, protect me from these things. And then we are steady trying to walk down those paths, and it's like God's like, babes, are you getting it? You're asking me to do these things, but then when I take certain things away, or when I tell you not this one, you're like, no, it has to be this. You know, and Spirit saying, don't, you know, be consciously aware of the limitations that I'm putting, because in that, I am actually giving your wish fulfillment. I'm actually doing what you're asking me to do. So get in touch with yourself, with who you are, with what you really want. You know, get your discernment up and work on really getting into contact with this higher self, with your higher self, and with that God, that connection that higher self within you connects you to that higher being, that higher understanding. I'm sure all of you have heard, rejection is divine protection. And there are situations, there's something here that there is a pathway here. There is something here that Spirit has been guiding you away from, or just telling you not now, just not now. Work on something else, do something else. And you've been pouring a lot of your energy into that no, or to that denial of that. And it's left you turned away from your path, or it's left you feeling like, oh, it's just, this is such a burden that's on my back. I'm being judged. I'm being turned away. I'm being denied sanctuary. When what you think is sanctuary is not. And that's what Spirit is trying to show you. That no matter what the mask looks like on the outside, Spirit has a higher perspective and has a higher understanding than we can fathom. And so when we come up against those things that are not within our control, we need to learn how to say, okay, this is just something that's got to be this way for now. And it doesn't mean that it's a punishment. It doesn't mean that I'm not good enough. It doesn't mean that I'm not pleasing enough. It doesn't mean that I'm not consumable enough. It doesn't mean, this rejection is not a reflection of my worth. This person, this place, this thing, this career, this path, this whatever, it's just not for me. Or maybe it's not for me right now. Let me focus on the things I can change. Let me focus on the things I can work on. Because there are things that you can work on now. There are things that you can be doing now. There are things that you can be making your situation better right now. And with Spirit saying, no, don't do this, it's because they're telling you the most powerful position for you to be in is putting your energy into these other things. All right, well, that's what I have for you. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate you guys as always. I hope this gave you the love or light or clarity that you needed. Thank you to your spirit guides, guardians, masters, ancestors for guiding you here to get this information. Okay. Thank you to my ancestors, guardians, and masters and guides for guiding me to deliver this message as well as keeping me safe while they did so. I really appreciate you guys. Let me know if this resonated for you down in the comment section down below. Like, share, subscribe, do the YouTube things. If you feel guided to get a personal reading from me, my contact information is down below. I really appreciate you guys as always. And I will see you lovelies in the next one. Okay. Bye.